Hi, I'm Trevor, and welcome to Catching Up on Cinema. If you aren't familiar with the program, Catching Up on Cinema is a film analysis podcast wherein we introduce each other to films, expand our cinematic horizons, and, in essence, catch up on our cinema. So, it is the month of January 2022, and is once again that very special time of the month wherein we do our very special Tales from the Shelf episode. But in joining me in this endeavor, I have my good buddy Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. How's it going, Brad?
Oh, it's going great. Glad to be here. Thanks again, Trevor. You know, it's a new year, but same Blu-rays, if you know what I'm saying. It's nothing's changed for me. Still collecting that physical media and excited to show off some aspects of the collection.
Oh yeah, this is always a grand old time. I love doing this very special project we run every month here on Catching Up on Cinema. I don't know, it brings peace to my soul to be able to not only collect, occasionally watch movies, but also discuss them and explain why I hoard the things that I hoard. But as evidenced by the ever-growing antenna just above my head here, those films, Brad, I will tell you this much, like, you'll be very proud of me. That is not backlog stack. That is actually recently watched stack that's going directly up Raul Julia's asshole. But as you can see, it's getting very near to the ceiling. So thankfully, I have been getting some watching in lately. Unfortunately, I've also been getting some purchasing in. It's off screen at the moment, but there is most certainly a backlog there. But before we get into things, being as we're chit-chatting here, any noteworthy purchases for you? Any noteworthy pickups in the Blu-ray world for you?
You know, I haven't bought too much since the new year. I guess I'll mention, in November, I bought a few Criterions in the Barnes & Noble sale, including the big one. I bought the complete Jacques Tati collection.
Yeah.
Which I've wanted to watch Playtime for a while. And I would have bought that film separately because it used to be a separate Criterion release on its own. But now I think you have to get the whole box set. So I've been holding off on it. Finally decided I got to dig into this guy's work because I hear so many people saying, oh, this is very Jacques Tati inspired. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I bought that. I got a few Blu-rays and 4Ks as Christmas gifts, including The Last Duel I got on 4K, which was a very nice gift. First time watch for that one on 4K, and it looked gorgeous. So yeah, I've taken a little bit of I pumped the brakes a little bit in the last few weeks at least, but I'm sure it's going to start up again soon.
Oh yeah, no, I pumped the brakes pretty heartily after the holidays. My brother and his wife, like, they splurged on me. They got me a nice little stack of some awesome movies that I've mostly have yet to watch. I've bought through a couple of them, but in terms of like pickups since the holidays for me, I think I only have one, and it's of course a Scott Adkins film, which recently dropped, I believe this month. That would be the Dolph Lundgren directed and starring film Castle Falls. So that's yet another collaboration between Dolph Lundgren and Scott Adkins. They've been involved in at least 3 or 4 different movies over the years. They've thrown hands at each other in at least 3 out of the 4 of those. But yeah, this one is directed by Lundgren. It's getting okay reviews. Nothing that I'm like super hyped about, but it has 2 guys I like, and I'm curious to see what Dolph's directing ability is like, because I know he's directed more than one film in the past, but not any that I've personally seen. But yeah, for me, I think that's literally the only pickup I have since the holiday gift-a-thon and whatnot. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Today, we're talking Tales from the Shelf. And said tales, as I had mentioned up top, are going to be concerning the realm of television. So normally, Brad and I, the way we conduct this show, and this is how we're going to be doing it today for sure, Tales from the Shelf serves as a exhibition of our respective film collections. So you may have noticed, your viewers, hopefully viewers, definitely listeners, that both Brad and I have pretty solid physical media collections. That would be DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Mostly just Blu-rays and 4Ks for Brad, because he has pretty hardy stigma against the DVD format.
Yeah.
But today, in particular, we're going to be talking about discs that we own from television series or streaming series or what have you, just series format viewing. So as is the norm, I'm going to be tossing Brad under the bus to kick us off and exhibit our first pick here. So Brad, what is your first terrific televised pick?
Well, I will say I actually do own quite a bit of TV on DVD because it seems like that was when people were buying television shows physically the most, was the DVD era. Definitely has slowed down during Blu-ray and certainly 4K, very few 4K TV releases. Now, I did not pick any of those out to highlight, any of the DVD picks, because they're dead to me. I can find them in better quality on most streaming services anyway. So we're sticking with Blu-ray only for this one. But I'm going to come out with a strong one, I think. And, this is on YouTube. You can watch this podcast on YouTube as well. Not my pick, the podcast itself that you're listening to or watching. And I feel like this is a good pick for, the YouTube crowd. It really, might be a bit of a film bro pick. It might be a little obvious, and I think it is a little obvious, but, it's still good. And I'm going to go with the complete series of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, the complete series, which comes in this amazing packaging. Now, I do really like Breaking Bad a lot. I think it is a great show. A little obvious. I'm glad it got the attention and love that it deserves, but, let's be honest. The ending... It hit all the expected beats. Didn't really do anything no one was expecting it to. But beyond that, this is an awesome set. And I love the packaging of this in the barrel here. You can pop it open. And I got to try and do this without spilling everything out on my computer here. But you pop open the barrel. You got all the discs in there like that. You got a nice little booklet, pamphlet thingy here that has all the episode guides. And just really cool how they... I don't even know if this is practical, but just how the discs are in these metallic cases here. You pop it up and it's magnets, which is, cool in and of itself, but they actually, of course, any Breaking Bad fan will know the classic Magnet episode, Magnets bitch, that famous line. So just, really unique and kind of cool, and I really dig that, I have to say. And then the surprises just keep on coming, because a barrel. Usually barrels don't open this way. If a barrel opened like this, it wouldn't hold any water. What the hell? It wouldn't. So normally barrels open at the top. Well, you open at the top, and you got a nice little surprise up here. Not only is there a nice little bonus disc in the actual lid, but there is a thing of cash. I don't know if I can do this without tipping it. A thing of cash in the barrel, because of course this is where Walt hides his money. And I do believe that in here, in this cash, is a t-shirt, but I haven't opened it because it kind of it takes away from the, you gotta have the money when you open the barrel, right? I think it's I want to say it's a Los Pollos Hermanos shirt, the fictional chicken restaurant in the show. I'm not gonna wear it. If I really wanted to wear that, I could buy a shirt like that separately. And there's also a Heisenberg Breaking Bad pin inside as well. So really, just an awesome set. I think I've watched these. I think I watched through the series on Blu-ray at one point. Maybe not. Maybe I never actually watched anything on this, and I spent all that money on it. But I'm glad that I did. I will say that I did really get pissed off at Sony Home Entertainment, because when this was announced, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I got to buy it. And, you fork out, I forget how much it was. I'm sure it was over $100 for this complete series set. And you're like, all right, I've got this. This is the best you'll ever get. And I remember, a couple of years later, it was before the spin-off series Better Call Saul came out. They re-released the bucket that was previously out of print, and now it contained even more bonus features. And I'm like, they really screwed me on that, because I was one of the true fans that bought it first, and then it sold out, and now there's even an even better version with more bonus features. Get real, Sony Home Entertainment. They're dead to me after that. But it is a pretty awesome set there. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, you are a proud owner of a legacy bucket, not that second run bullshit.
That's true.
First edition bucket owner right here, bro.
I'm not a poser like some of these fake fans who only discovered the show on Netflix. Get real. I was watching it on AMC. Come on.
Yeah, actually, that's when I was watching it, and that was only the first season. I had an office job and a really cool boss that he would just put on things like on the office television, and we actually just like went through the first season on AMC, and we also watched a lot of Batman '89 and a lot of James Bond. That was one of the coolest offices I've ever worked in. But
it's a cool job.
Yeah, no, cool guy too. I'm still very close with him, but unfortunately, I never kept up with the series after that. I just kind of dropped it after that. It wasn't so much I dropped it. I actually was very happy with what I saw. I really enjoyed that first season. I think it was just a combination of not having ready access to television and streaming. Like I just didn't have access to things at that point in my life.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wrote it off as like, oh, maybe I'll get to it someday. And to date, I have yet to do so. But goddamn, Brad, that is a handsome package. That is quite a handsome package. Holy shit, not only the packaging quote gimmick, and that's not meant to be pejorative. That's a really awesome concept, and it's doubly so because it actually factors into like fan service as well. And those magnetized cases for the individual discs, I've never seen anything like that. But that's really secure. Like that looks very clean and secure. That makes me a collector very happy.
Yeah, it's nice. And I forgot to mention this, which it's kind of like a pain. Like, when would you do this? But you look on the bottom of the case, the magnet cases. You got a little image here, and if you actually take out the discs, and again, it's like, why would you do this? This is kind of dumb. But if you take out the discs and put the magnets together, you can see it starts to form. Now there's the black and the pink and the bear. If you take out all the discs and put all these for each season, it forms a key image from that season. I mean, I don't know if they're like wanting you to scratch up your discs by removing them all at once, and then you have to buy more. I don't know.
Gonna need another cool bucket concept over here.
Yeah. And, I'm not like the biggest fan of these like monster box sets. Like, I kind of hate, like, you got to put them, where are you going to put them? Like, bleh. But I like that this one doesn't even try to be, like, an actual box. Like, this isn't even trying to be on your shelf. Like, it knows it's got to go somewhere special. It's got to go on the top of the shelf or something. So I appreciate that. And, yeah, it's quite cool. Very, very nice. Very sleek.
Yeah, it helps, too, that the show has a good reputation and is, for like all intents and purposes, legitimately very, very good. So it's like, as a conversation piece, it's a good one to have. Unlike my gaudy Nakatomi Plaza tower, that I swear the only reason I bought that is because I bought it directly through like the 20th Century Fox like Studios website, and for whatever the fuck reason, it was cheaper than like the standard just like cardboard slipcase one for all 5 Die Hard movies. And I was like, sure.
You do whatever, you justify it however you need to, however you can sleep at night with that thing.
It is such a fucking eyesore, but I'm telling you, like, legitimately, that's the reason I got it, is because I was like, this is actually cheaper than buying all the movies in just like a simple little box. It's like, sure, I'll have a big dumb fucking tower on my shelf. I love Die Hard 1.
Yeah, I think for a conversation piece, I think you need to really make a statement and take that and decorate it as your Christmas tree, and fall on the Die Hard is a Christmas tree debate. That way, whenever somebody comes over, you can really like grill them. Like, don't you think Die Hard's a Christmas movie? Look at it, it's my tree. Don't you see?
Yeah, I need to decorate it with tinsel and maybe like make like a, I don't know, a pipe cleaner Hans Gruber falling out the 40th floor or something. Just like duct tape it to it or something. But yeah, I could totally swing that. But yeah, Brett, that is quite the package. And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as you brought up magnets, because I don't have as deep a familiarity with the show, initially my thought was, how do they work?
Yeah. And I don't know, is there any like chance like a magnet could ruin a disc potentially? I mean, they're very small magnets that aren't touching the disc, but never really considered that.
Yeah, I don't know about discs. I mean, obviously we have an entire movie with the premise being magnets harming VHS tapes, like magnetized tape. But I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that involved, like for optical discs and whatnot. But yeah, and one would hope they designed the packaging of their barrel box set to not harm the discs housed therein.
I haven't used any of the discs in years, so I might have to. Maybe I'll pop one in tonight, just make sure it still works.
Come on, baby, hold together. Shit.
Yeah, I figured I started with that one though. I had to come out guns blazing.
Yeah, that was a shot across my bow, Brad. Goddamn,
I don't have anything else that cool. I'll be honest, but still great stuff. So keep on tuning in. But, that might have been
don't turn it off yet. Yeah, we haven't peaked that early, but shit, that is quite the statement to make. So I'm gonna have to challenge that accordingly. This is part of folks. This is part of why I have Brad go first. I like him to be the tone setter because, in general, like in life, in podcasting, I feel I do a lot better complimenting others, like playing off of other people's rhythm and whatnot. So I'll try my best to match you, Brad. I don't have anything quite as prestigious as a fucking barrel, a magnetized barrel with a t-shirt, with a fucking t-shirt in it.
Unopened t-shirt.
Yeah, but I think I got something nice. By the way, the t-shirt reminds me of my old Spider-Man 3 DVD that came with like a Lucha Libre style like black Spider-Man mask. But like my dumb ass pulled it out thinking, oh, it's fucking sweet, a Spider-Man mask. And then of course it's like for a child. So I pulled it out and I couldn't get it back in. So I pulled it out thinking, oh shit, I get to run around looking like black suit Spider-Man all day? Fucking sweet. My head's too fucking big, man. It sucks.
Bummer. They should have had an adult version. Like they should have specified.
I should have wrote a nastygram to Sony and been like, "Motherfucker, I bought your DVD and I can't fit your Spider-Man mask, and I have a small head. I do have a small head. You can't see it on the webcam, but my head is not very big at all." Goddamn.
Yeah, it's a good point. I actually don't know what size T-shirt is included in this. I never thought about that.
I mean, it's American, so fucking huge.
I bet you it's an XL. I would guess XL.
I mean, if they're wise, like if they want to appease the fan base, I think it would be wise to just go for broke and make it a big one. Okay, Brad, I got my pick set up here.
All right.
So, as is the norm, I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I actually have a duplicate, but in a different format. It's the same thing twice. And in fact, I think I showed this on... I think we did an episode on Tales from the Shelf about box sets at one point. I can't recall the title of that episode, but I'm pretty sure I talked about this on that episode. So folks at home, maybe check that one out. It's probably worthwhile. Maybe. I don't know. We've probably gotten a lot better at this shit since then. But what I have here is a kind of beat to shit DVD box set. So Brad's already getting his barf bag ready. And this would be the Neon Genesis Evangelion Perfect Collection. I don't know what makes it perfect. Most certainly this version of it is grossly imperfect, being as you can see it's scuffed to shit. I got this at a secondhand store and it was priced accordingly, so I was like, shit, why not? And mind you, the reason I got this when I got it is that this series, which I have an affinity for, did not have a HD release. I don't even think in Japan at the time. So DVD was the only format. DVD was the only format you could get this, in particular in the West. So we have here all of the clamshell cases for the entire television series, minus the collection film and the end of Evangelion, which is the feature film, which concludes the series, which is on the shelf back there, also on DVD, but I didn't pull that out. But yeah, it's 8 discs, large DVD cases, very rigidly constructed. These are ADV film discs. I don't even know if ADV still exists, honestly, but in the early days of DVD distribution for anime titles in the US, ADV was pretty big. They were often thought of as like one of the worst dubbing studios in anime production. Like their voice acting was the stuff of legend, where it's like standards have risen quite a bit since these days. But yeah, I've brought up this show plenty of times. But yeah, this is the DVD box set I have of that. But
I like the consistency on the spines on that. Like how they just kept the title like exactly like they didn't like. I don't know. It looks very clean. I like that.
Yeah, I like that the font is consistent all the way through. The positioning of the titling for all the discs, all of them have the word collection and then 0:number. So it's just collection 0:number. Yeah, it's very consistent. It's very cohesive, as it should be, being as it's meant to be housed in a box, a big gaudy box.
They didn't fuck it up.
They put it on the box. So in addition to that, though, and this is me trying to match Brad's epic barrel. I have here from G Kids, not ADV anymore, because like I said, I don't even know if ADV is still in business. I have here the Neon Genesis Evangelion Collector's Edition box set, which has a very nice texture to it. It's a very nice, Brad. It's a very nice.
I can see the texture.
And on the back, it just says Nerv, which is the name of like the major organization featured in the series. And this is the just the piece of slip paper describing what the contents of the package are. But we have 3 discs. We have Series and Movies, Bonus, Series and Movies, and Classic version, which features the shitty ADV dub if you're interested in hearing that shit again. Kind of like, I think they did the same with Akira, maybe. Because the original English dub for Akira famously and or infamously included the voice actor that portrayed Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles as Kaneda. So if you have nostalgia needs to hear Leonardo in your Akira movie, I think you can actually use that audio track to this very day. And then we also have additional bonus materials, which is like making of and things like that. But this is a fantastic package.
I'm loving the clear cases.
Just simple 01.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh.
Is it Antonio Banderas in that GIF where he's like, or you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Ooh. Just. Ooh.
Yep. 100%. That is nice.
I'm gonna need to wash these pants. Yeah, that's from Assassins, if memory serves, which is I think that was written by the Wachowskis back in the day.
Oh,
nice. It's Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas in Assassins. But yeah, we have 5 discs in here, very clean, very beautiful. And yeah, the color scheme here is black, purple, and green, which this 01 matches the mecha that also has the designation 01. Same goes for the other 2 discs, which are red, yellow, and black, and yellow, like kind of beige and black. But in addition to that, we also have dos booklets. This one houses some art cards, which I'm going to destroy in trying to open, so I'm not going to.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And then this is just kind of like you would find in like a CD or a record album. Just a brief encyclopedia and illustrations of all like the major art elements and mecha featured in the series. And also, as I mentioned, the DVD of the end of Evangelion is not included in that DVD box set that I showed you. However, that film is included in this box set on Blu-ray for the first time in the United States. So it's kind of a big deal. And I have yet to actually watch this. I've certainly watched that DVD series at least one time through, and I watched the series previous, like via bootleg a long time ago. But yeah, Evangelion. I don't know what it is about it. It has a lot of fucking problems, but It hit me at the right time. We'll just say that much. I was about like 11 or 12 years old when I first saw it, and something about it spoke to me at the time, and so I just kind of like carry it along with me throughout the years, and I have a love-hate thing with it. But apparently I care enough about it that I buy fucking box sets of it twice.
Well, that was second one was a real nice box set. That was real good. Was there? Am I going crazy, or was there some sort of release from? Was it that series, or that was there a movie of that came out this year? I feel like I heard something Neon Genesis came out this year. Maybe I'm going crazy here.
I think you're right. It may have been 2020 or 2021, but Amazon.
Yeah, I guess this year. I'm talking. Yeah.
Amazon did obtain the rights to the last movie in what's called the rebuild of Evangelion. So it's 4 different movies that are kind of like a semi-retelling of the television series, but then it takes a hard pivot at one point. I think at the end of the second movie, it's just like, oh, we're not doing that anymore? Nobody told me. Mm-hmm. And actually that makes for like some exciting news by the time you get to that last one, where it's like, okay, it took 2.5 movies, but we're officially like in uncharted territory now, so we're actually taking steps to tell a new story with a fuck ton of money backing the animation budget. And also remember, this is the brainchild of Hideaki Anno, who is, of course, the director of Shin Gojira, and has since risen to such prominence in the Japanese film industry that Shin Gojira won the equivalent of the Japanese Academy Award for Best Picture. And since then, he's just been given the keys to every fucking castle in town. There's a Shin Ultraman movie that already has a teaser trailer. There's a Shin Kamen Rider, which also has a teaser trailer. These are both franchises that have existed in Japan since the 60s and the 70s, respectively. And he's being tasked with revamping them for the current generation, just based on the success of Gojira and his Evangelion project that's been going on for decades. But I have yet to actually watch that last rebuild of Evangelion film, even though it was readily available and free on Amazon Prime. For whatever reason, I just never got around to it. But now that it's on my mind, maybe now is the time, Brad.
Yeah. Well, it's there whenever you're ready for it.
Well, I hope so. It's like, no, we're gonna jack up the price now that Trevor's interested again. But yeah. I'm happy with that package. I really am excited to see what the series is like in HD, because from a visual standpoint, from an audio visual standpoint, it was always excellent. So to see it in ultra crisp HD is something that will be very exciting for me personally. But yeah, that's probably the grandest box set I have on offer in terms of TV content. But enough out of me, Brad. What's your follow up to the Great Black Barrel gonna be?
Well, this is not going to be anything quite as strong as the Black Barrel. You did a good follow up with that. That was a nice set, a very clean looking packaging. I like that. This one, I'm not going on the packaging for this next one, but this is the one where I might have to have a little bit of a debate here. Hang on.
Okay, I'm ready for this. Okay, take them kid gloves off. Let's have at it.
So first of all, do you, in your collection, let's get into this first of all, do you separate your TV from your movies?
Brad, please don't turn off the webcam, but no, I don't.
Okay, we're already strike one. This isn't even going to be a debate then. There's nothing to debate anymore.
Strike 1, 2, and 3 in one go.
Yikes. Yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit of reorganization over there, I think. But let's just say hypothetically you do. Let's just say hypothetically you do separate, as you should.
Okay, as I should. This is America, goddammit.
Yeah.
We were living in a society the last time I checked.
Well, let's say hypothetically you do. I think there's a few things that fall into a few gray areas. So, like, for example, a TV movie, a made-for-TV movie. Let's say hypothetically you do. Would that go under movies or TV? If you hypothetically did, where would you put it?
I would put that among my movies because
You're right. See, okay, you got that right.
It is a feature length, therefore it is a film. It's a movie.
You got it. You got it. This one, I think this is a bit of a... it's actually not a gray area, but I feel like people associate it in a gray area because I think a lot of people think of this as a movie. And maybe you do as well. I hate to break it to you. This ain't no film. This ain't a film. This is a TV miniseries that aired in 2 parts, and it is Stephen King's It. Stephen King's It, which I know a lot of people think of it as a really long movie. I see tons of people logging it on Letterboxd. No. No. I know people log a bunch of shit on Letterboxd that they shouldn't be logging, but this one is another one that, no, it's not a film. You can check. It did air over 2 nights, so it is a miniseries, and that's why it goes in television, even though it's in a single case, even though it's a single disc in a cheap Blu-ray recyclable case. This goes on TV. So, yeah, this one definitely, I had some, I was like, oh, yeah, would this go under? I had to think about it. I checked IMDb. I made sure it aired in 2 parts. Yeah, okay, yeah. Another one, I can't remember, Salem's Lot. I think that one might have been 2 parts as well, I think. And I have it in TV right now. And I don't want to say 100% that it did air. I'm assuming I did my research. I'm assuming. But that one might be even more of a gray zone. But, yeah, Stephen King's It. It's a great miniseries. It ain't no film. It's not. I mean, it's not great. But, I watched it a lot as a kid. And I'll say, I watched it at a pretty young age. It did scare the hell out of me. It was one of those things when you're a kid and... there was just, especially in that first part, there were some terrifying moments for kids, and so terrifying that I watched it, and I hung out with a couple of my cousins, and I was telling them, I was like, hey, you guys, and, it's like I was watching all the shit that they weren't allowed to watch just yet. I was like, hey, you guys ever hear about It? They're like, no, what's It? And so I described it, and I described some scenes from It in such great detail that the next time I hung out with them, I got in trouble from my aunt because my cousin was scared to go to bed. So that either tells you how scary the miniseries is or how good a storyteller I am. I don't know. But I think Tim Curry is amazing as Pennywise. I think he's the... I mean, I really do like Bill Skarsgård as well, but I think Tim Curry nails it. And, yeah, it's a really solid miniseries, and it's a pretty good adaptation of the book. I do think the second half is not quite as good as the first half. I know that's what everybody says, and it's the same with the new It. But it's weird because reading the book, I love the stuff with the adults. I think in the novel, the stuff with the adults is my favorite stuff because I just love the whole, like, getting the band back together, like, reuniting after not having seen each other for so long. I just love that, nostalgia for, seeing old friends again. I'm a sucker for movies about that and stuff. So yeah, I'm a fan of Stephen King. This one, I watched it at a young age, and it certainly is dated. It is a TV miniseries from like 1990, but taking it for what it is, it's pretty solid. So I'm glad to own it because it's something I could go back to, every so often.
Yeah, frankly, I'm surprised I don't own that one because I have pretty much the same relationship to it that you do. And right down to the telling stories about scenes from the TV movie. There's a family story we have about E.T., where apparently both my brother and I just could not be taken to the theater to watch that film. Apparently, we both just like shat our pants and started howling and screaming.
Really?
Like in the opening when like the government agents or whatever are like chasing E.T. through the woods and his chest is glowing when he's agitated and stuff. Like just something about the noise and the idea of being pursued by these faceless strangers like just freaked us both the fuck out. Only difference is my brother went in blind as a baby. And then when I think they re-released the film in theaters, my parents they still hadn't seen it at this point, and I'm 4 years younger than my brother. They attempted to take me and him again, and he made the mistake of doing what you did to your cousins. And he told me, like, oh yeah, in the opening, like, his chest blows open, and he pulls out, like, a ray gun, and he starts melting people's fucking faces. Now, he didn't use the F-bomb. We were both very, very young. But the point is, he he told me something terrifying was going to happen as soon as the movie started, and I must have just planted that seed in my head and never got away from it. So I don't know if my parents have ever seen E.T. front to back, because they had to leave the theater twice with both of their kids. But it carried such a reputation on the playground growing up, because that came out in 1990. I was 3 at the time, and it would air continuously on like cable networks and stuff over at least a decade beyond its original air date. And it's funny too, because like in my mind, I did actually remember seeing television advertisements for it, which were terrifying for a very young child. But in my mind, when I think about that movie, the reason why it's very easy to think of it as a TV movie is not just the fact that it's pretty fucking weak by today's standards. Like it is most certainly tame, because it was aired on, like ABC or NBC or like a major network. Yeah. Like it was meant for mass consumption. But in addition to that, there's a lot of fade to blacks in the film, which signify commercial breaks, which is actually kind of cozy. There's something about that particular break in a like a viewing of something that doesn't have actual commercials in between those moments, to have a scene just kind of like pew. I'll never forget. I think it was the end of the first episode or first half of the series is when Stanley writes the word "it" on the bathroom tile in blood. Yeah. And the cutting back and forth between his wife's face and the wall, and she's just like, and it starts to fade to black prematurely, and she's like, "Oh!" That's one of my favorite moments in the whole thing. But my very favorite moment is Tim Curry, of course, who's awesome, with the noisemaker in the library on the balcony.
Yep, that's amazing.
What? And just making all the fucking noise while the poor guy Richie is trying to talk to somebody in the library, and he's the only one that can hear it. It's brilliant comedy. But yeah, it did have a lot of scary moments for sure. In particular, pretty much anytime Tim Curry buried his teeth, and he had those awesome close-ups of his like yellow eyes and his fang teeth and stuff. But the one that really stuck out to me was Belch getting sucked into the tube. He gets like bent over at an unnatural angle that requires some degree of flexibility, and there's like a big light beaming out behind him. It's not a grisly effect or anything. It's just a really striking image, especially for a kid. But this is the point in the conversation, Brad, where I'm going to have to focus a little bit towards the remakes, because I'm just curious. Like I know you most certainly reviewed those for your show, the Cinema Speak podcast. But it's been a long time since I listened to those episodes. Like, what was your take on the remakes?
I liked the first one. I mean, I think it's the kind of the general consensus that the second one kind of shat the bed a little bit. Yeah, the first one was fun. I didn't think it was like amazing by any means. And I like the young cast. It's just the second one. It's like way too much focus on CG. Like I think of there was like a big monster creature, like a big woman or something, and it was CG, and it looked garbage. It was so like not scary at all, and yeah, it was definitely a disappointment. And just because the first one was such a success, they felt the need to also have to include the kids in this one, which that's an element of the book where they're going back and forth between the two, but it just felt like having to de-age the kids kind of looked like garbage, and yeah, it was not strong, not like terrible by any means, but it was definitely a letdown.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I really did not enjoy that second one. I do think one strength of a lot of Stephen King's work, good or bad, is that it's just eminently watchable. Mm-hmm. Like it's just something about his arrangement to his stories and his characterizations that just is very cozy. Like it's very easy to just like put on and kind of not completely engage with, but still kind of get some measure of entertainment from. So it has that going for it, because the characters are as they're meant to be represented. They're mostly faithful to how we've seen them in the past. But there's just not enough meat on the bone in the second one, and they try to replace it with they try to fill in it. And by the way, its runtime, if memory serves, was real bloated. Like, they pad it out with just fucking noise. And by the time you get to the last half hour, it's just like, what are we doing, guys? Like, I know there's supposed to be a, quote, big spider at the end, but, like, it didn't have to be that, and we didn't have to have it interact with the cast in that manner, because the biggest strength to that first one, if you ask me, because I do actually quite like that first chapter quite a bit with the kids. It's nice to look at. It's edited well. It moves. All the kids are pretty good for the most part. There's a few storytelling hiccups that's like, I'm not sure if that was wise, but one thing that I really took away from that stuck with me was Bill Skarsgård being allowed to be in the room with the kids. Like, when he gets physical with the kids, it's alarming. Like, that's something that, the television movie version with Tim Curry's great. Like, his portrayal of Pennywise is spectacular. But there's certain things that Bill Skarsgård's allowed to do with a more intense film that worked really, really well. Like, when he's teasing the kids and, like, putting his jaws over their head, like, to scare the bejesus out of them and stuff. Like, it adds a level of intensity that, for whatever reason, they totally discard in that second one, where it's like, what would make the clown more scary? If he was giant and had crab pincers. It's like, okay, sure. Whatever.
It's also the thing where, with the length, like, the first one was such a success, they were like, oh, it's got to be this huge send-off. Like, people loved that first movie. It's like, all of a sudden, we got to treat these characters so preciously. Like, we have to see them as kids again. Everybody loved them as kids. And it's like, don't, it'd be one, if they had filmed those movies back to back, they would not have put so much reverence on, like, every single character in there. Like, it would have been a lot cleaner. I think it would have been a lot stronger. But, it's something where, like, I like thinking about it. I did only watch the second one the one time. I wouldn't mind doing them back to back again and just, giving them a poke. I don't think I even own the second one on 4K, unfortunately. I think I gotta pick that up. But that tells you how much I was not a fan of it, where I didn't go out and buy it, even though it's like, I know I'm gonna watch it again at some point. Like, come on.
Yeah, for real. It's like, that's always a weird feeling, to have two halves of something and one of them is in a different format than the other. I have that with Creed and Creed 2, and it's just like, something's amiss here. Like, that doesn't look right. But
yeah,
I've seen It Chapter 2 twice, and the second one, I'd like to do that with most movies anyway. The second one just reconfirmed all of the misgivings I had about it the first time. I was just like, it's loud. It just doesn't have anything going on for the most part. It's very dull at times. Like, it just kind of feels like the characters are farting around waiting for the plot to catch up. And its tone is also just all over the place. Like, there are some bits of intended comedy that just fall utterly flat on their face. It kind of reminded me of the worst film I've ever seen in a theater. That would be Frank Miller's The Spirit. We had a situation where a good friend of mine, I was the best man at his wedding, he knows who he is if he's listening, he had this hot streak of just picking the worst fucking shit imaginable for us to go see, and that one took the cake. That was the worst film I have ever seen in a theater, which I guess is saying a lot, but it reminded, like, It Chapter 2 has some moments that reminded me of this beat early on in The Spirit, where Samuel L. Jackson is supposed to have this shocking moment where he, like, throws a fit and he chops a dude's head off, and it's supposed to be like comedy because it happens very unexpectedly and the camera works very energetic, but the whole theater was just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, nobody even breathed. Like there was no reaction whatsoever. And there's that bit in It Chapter 2 where what's his face gets puked on, and there's like a 80, there's an 80s like sound, like there's a music cue, like there's a needle drop that happens, and it's just like, who thought that was a good idea? Who thought of that? Because they deserve to be fired.
It was like I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston or something in that zone where it was like trying to be like ironic, like the music was ironic. It was like not funny. It was bad.
It felt like Ryan Reynolds slipped into the editing room and just had his way with it for 5 minutes or something. It was weird. But anyway, the It remakes, they are what they are. I do quite enjoy that first chapter, but I think, like you said, Brad, I was really looking forward to the idea of sticking to their guns and doing what, like doing kind of like the Evangelion thing, the rebuild of Evangelion, like getting to a certain point and then maybe trying something different, because that first movie is strictly centered around the kids. That's not the format of the book. That's not the format of the TV series either, the miniseries rather. I thought it would have been interesting to stick to their guns and just do the adults for the second part. But no, they kind of reverted back to the format of the book after not having done that the first time out. It's a sign of weakness, like not necessarily weakness, more just like lack of confidence, I guess.
Yeah.
And also there's something to be said for the idea of going too big. Like one of the weirder, more obscure examples that comes to mind is Once Upon a Time in Mexico, where it's like, I generally like Robert Rodriguez. El Mariachi is a fun little movie. Desperado, I think, is a phenomenal, slightly larger movie. And so they decided to up the ante for the third one and do the, quote, epic. I think that's even how it was advertised. And it's like, that was not a good idea. like this film is by like far and away the least of this trilogy.
Yeah.
And it's largely comes down to the fact that they just reached way further than they had to. Like, it's like, why did we take on a project like this when we could have kept it simple and just had more guitars with machine guns in them?
Yeah. Also, I looked it up. Different cinematographer on It Chapter 2. I thought it was the different one. I just wanted to confirm, because the first one, it is Park Chan-wook's guy, who does a lot of his films, I believe. The second guy, I didn't even recognize his name.
Well, it's a considerably less visually interesting film than the first one. I'll just say that much.
He's probably a TV guy, I bet. That's speaking of.
Nice. But yeah, that's probably more about it than either of us had ever planned to say about it. But thanks for pulling that one out, Brad. It's always fun for me to come back to that one. It's actually a shock to me that I don't own that disc that you have.
Well, when you do pick it up, make sure you put it in your TV section.
Well, first I'd have to make a TV section, Brad.
Make sure you make that TV section and then put it in there.
Well, first I need to get a bigger apartment in Seattle, where it's a privilege to have a door for your toilet. The pig episode, folks. Check it out. Kyle and I had a nice back and forth about the woes of living in Seattle, a place where I've lived all of my 34 years and now have to live here, where I'm a proud owner of a toilet door.
Yeah, as Nicolas Cage says, fuck Seattle, right?
Fuck Seattle. I love Seattle, but at the same time, fuck Seattle. So where do we go from here, Brad? So you had a TV movie.
TV miniseries.
TV miniseries. Thank you.
There's a movie, it'd go in the movies. Get it straight, bud. Get it straight.
Thank you for keeping me on track. Thank you for keeping me honest, Brad. Okay, so if we're going to be futzing with formats, I may as well recall again. So this is the second time I'll be doing this. This will be interesting if anybody will find themselves in a position where they're getting tired of me repeating myself, because I'm fairly certain I've brought this up before. So Brad, in the world of Japanese animation, there is something called an OVA. If I say that acronym to you, does that mean anything?
Maybe it should, because you said you're going to bring up something you've already brought up, so maybe you've already explained this to me, but I'm going to say no.
Okay, well, I most certainly have, but it's okay. It's okay, Brad. We all have day jobs. We all have other things going on, much more important things.
It's not that I don't listen, it's just that I don't remember.
So an OVA stands for Original Video Animation, and it was a format that emerged during the direct-to-video boom of like cinema, I guess. So pretty much when VHS was gaining ground and video rentals and things of that nature were rising to prominence. So original video animations, or OVAs, were this thing in Japanese animation, in anime, where it was not quite a movie, not quite a series, but somewhere in the middle. So a lot of times it was like a 40-minute bit of animation that typically had enough money and effort put into it, so the animation quality was slightly higher than the standards of like your standard 23-minute televised series. They could exist in a series format, so there could be multiple episodes of an OVA. But in general, they were noteworthy for not quite being feature length, having usually slightly above average animation quality, and either could exist in a singular format or in a series format. It's a very curious thing that it's slightly niche, but it massively appealing to me because I actually like short films. The idea of putting on something that's 45 minutes and looks better than something that's 23 minutes and has 25 episodes is very appealing to me because I like quality animation in general. So what I have here is very similar to my first pick, both an OVA series and a television series, so a TV anime series of the same property. So this is me cheating a little bit, but it wouldn't be Tales from the Shelf if Trevor didn't cheat a little bit. It's my fucking show. Back off. So I have here, purchased at Suncoast Video at the Northgate Mall for probably like $75 fucking dollars. The Guyver Bio Booster Armor, the collection. So what this is a OVA collection of 12 episodes of, I think these are roughly 30-minute episodes each, but we have 2 discs housed in here. So Volume 1 and Volume 2. I believe there are 12 episodes in total. And this is from Manga Video, which I believe may still exist. Very similar to ADV, though. I wouldn't be surprised if these folks went out of business as well. But the Guyver is something I've brought up numerous times on Catching Up on Cinema. My cousin introduced me to the manga when I was a little bit young. It's brutally violent is what I'm getting at, Brad. But I fucking loved it when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading those comics when I was a little kid. And then I got wise to the fact that they did produce animations for this, and in fact, no less than 2 American live-action films. So the Guyver is something that's always been very, very special to me, I guess very similar to Neon Genesis Evangelion, although this one was introduced to me at a slightly earlier age. The funny thing about this OVA series is that Volume 1 is pretty fucking good. The animation quality is quite good. The music by Reijiro Koroku is phenomenal. Look up the soundtrack, Brad, if you're in the mood for some like moody orchestral / synth stuff from the 80s. Very, very good. Same composer as Godzilla 1984. His score for this is fantastic. But the first 6 episodes start out faithful to the comic and then take a hard fucking right turn out of nowhere because they realized, oh shit, we don't have enough money to tell the whole story, so we gotta wrap this shit up. So they just hustle to the finish line, and it doesn't even properly end. It's just kind of like, let's just blow something up and call it a day. Like they just blow up a skyscraper, and it's just like, sure, that's an ending. But then I guess they had some like pocket change or something left over, so they decided to squeeze those pennies, or those yen rather, to make 6 more episodes with fucking pennies, and it's so fucking butt ugly. Like the last disc of this is hideous. It's so fucking terrible. But I still watched it a lot because I like this series. But holy shit, the last 6 episodes of this, there's like a couple of bits where it's good, like it's okay, but my god, beyond that, it's just like, is this animated? I can't even
weird
tell. Yeah, that's always an interesting story behind most animation projects, at least Japanese ones anyway, is budget is everything. Like balancing the books is everything. I didn't even talk about the end of fucking Evangelion, Brad. Did I tell you about that shit?
Because, I don't know. Did you?
I'm gonna tell you about it. Give me a second. I need to collect my thoughts. This is me talking.
Take a deep breath. It's all right. It's gonna be okay.
So this fucking series, Brad, they ran out of money. They ran out of money so bad that the last episode of this television series, this 25, 26 episode series, or whatever the fuck, is just a boy sitting in a chair while like, no joke, like sketchpad doodles serve as the visual elements to the animation.
Really?
They had no money. They had nothing.
Wow.
So it's just, let's get the voice actors in there. Maybe we can like beg them to record their lines. And then there's like a couple of minutes of legit animation. But for the most part, it's just abstract horse shit. Wow. It actually kind of works. But like, if you actually read into the story behind it, the reason why the series ended that way is they had nothing. They had no money. They couldn't even pay the rent.
Jeez. They ran out of money. Sounds like my cousin Jeffrey. All right, we're having fun here. We're having a good time.
Hi-oh. Sticking it to cousin Jeffrey. But yeah, that's why they made a movie a few years after the fact, is because the director and the studio were like, well, we developed a fan base, and you know what? There's demand for us to like actually make an ending. And it turns out that the ending they made was this like grossly over-budgeted mess that pissed a lot of people off. And in fact, like, literally does say fuck you to its own audience if you squint really hard during the animation. Like, there's literally like messages where it's just like, thanks for buying a ticket, asshole. Shit like that. Anyway, there's too many stories about that. But anyway, I said this was a twofer, so it's going to be a twofer. So we have on DVD, a grossly overpriced DVD box set purchased at Suncoast. RIP? Am I right on that, Brad?
I don't know if we've ever had Suncoast videos near me, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, Suncoast, to me, I always think of it as the place where we didn't really have many places to buy movies. So you went there just because that was the only option. That and maybe Silver Platters if you were lucky. I never bought any music from Silver Platters. I bought a RoboCop DVD there, but yeah, Suncoast was always just like super fucking overpriced. It was,
yeah, that might be based on the name, just a West Coast thing, Suncoast.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
It's like other, like what East Coast has, like coconuts and just like FYE and shit like that, or whatever.
Yeah, we've got FYE near me.
Yeah,
that's still going. I still got one near me.
Yeah, I think we have one, maybe on the east side or something. But
yeah.
FYE never had much of a footprint out here in the Seattle area. But in addition to that OVA box set, I have a Blu-ray box set of a remake series. So the Guyver, the bio-boosted armor, but this is from the 2000s, and features that gross fucking slightly digital animation that just like makes me puke like just a little bit in the back of my throat every time I look at it. There's a reason I just don't have as much passion for animation as I used to. It's because I'm not as big of a fan of the way it looks and the techniques that go into it, even though I acknowledge the craftsmanship that goes into it. But yeah, this is a 26 episode series that still could not find its footing in telling the whole damn story, so it actually like still trips and falls flat on its fucking face trying to condense it all. This series was okay. But one thing that was, it also like takes some hard pivots here and there where it's just like, whoa, you're introducing characters and concepts that in the comic didn't happen until like years down the line. So they accelerated things very radically with this 26 episode series. But animation is adequate. The big major bump that this one takes, though, in terms of its quality, is the lack of gore. Because if you've read the Guyver manga and seen the OVA series, that's why young Trevor showed up for the Guyver. And this version aired on the equivalent of like, basic cable in Japan. So it's tame. It's considerably toned down. And for me personally, it was just like, well, it told me a story and I got to see some characters I like, but in terms of like the fun fireworks stuff that I was showing up for, most of it was excised and toned down to the point that like I didn't get a whole lot out of it. That's a candidate for one of those things that I might end up donating or trading in at some point. I watched it through once, very likely never again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, just that whole, what is it, OVN?
OVA.
OVA.
Original video animation.
Yeah, that's interesting. And just the idea of just running out of budget at the end is just kind of like extremely interesting. It's almost like you're watching a marathon. Like, because, you would think at least over here, if you are having issues with budget, you'd be cutting corners throughout the entire series almost. It's just interesting to like blow your budget on a single episode almost, and then like see it just like peter out at the end. I don't know. That's kind of fascinating.
I mean, it happens. Like I'm sure Miami Vice maybe had some instances where they blew up a few too many speedboats or something, and we're like, well, we better have a lot of dialogue for the rest of the season or something like that. But Evangelion is like a historic example of failing to balance your books because the earlier episodes in particular, the animation is stellar. Only problem is, like you said, it is like a marathon. They kind of exhausted their gas tank maybe prematurely. So the results are great. What we got is for the most part very, very good. But some decisions were forced upon them in terms of the creative approach to how to take on the animation in the later episodes. But yeah, Guyver is just an example of just like shitting the bed not even halfway through the race. So like, oh man, Brad, imagine like shitting your pants and where you're wearing your fucking like short shorts and you just have to keep going because it's like, I just passed the halfway point. There's no return. I just have to keep running with Dookie down my leg.
As someone like, because you're not a huge like TV guy, like I'm surprised. I guess maybe it was like when you watched it or at what age, but like I'm surprised that like you wouldn't just like abandon ship as like the quality dips to a certain level. You know what I mean?
Well, in this case, the first time I saw the whole thing through, I saw both Evangelion and Guyver, the OVA series. I saw like the first 4 episodes of both of them over and over and over again when I was young, and it wasn't until much later on when I was like able to afford DVDs of my own that I would actually go back and rewatch the whole thing. So the second half of that Guyver series, that box set, was all news to me. So I was actually excited to watch that for the first time. And so imagine my surprise when I finally put in that second disc with all the stuff I haven't seen. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
What did they do to my boy?
Right. Well,
yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? That's the world of I don't know, franchises and intellectual properties. You get attached to these things and then they fuck you.
Yeah, I mean we're seeing that a lot with a lot of franchises, a lot of content, and some people they're not going to take it anymore. They go to their subreddit and they go nuts. That Game of Thrones subreddit is still a dumpster fire from what I hear. I think so. I don't know. Fuck. I don't check it.
Well,
I don't give a shit.
Wait, they have that prequel series or whatever on the horizon, correct?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how fans react to that, I guess. But
yeah, I guess we'll be able to see quite readily like who's a super fan and who's not. Because damn, in recent memory I can't think of a series that like burned its bridges more harshly than that one. By the time it reached its conclusion.
Yeah, I was talking about this with my one friend. It might have been in our most recent episode that's coming out in a little bit, but I maybe it was off air. I can't remember. But we were talking about Dexter also really shit the bed in its final season. And they actually just brought Dexter back for like basically like let's fix our fuck up, like limited series sort of thing. Apparently some people hated that as well. So.
That's what I've been hearing. It's like, okay, so you came back to fix it and you fucked us again.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh well, what can you do?
Yeah.
As long as you had fun along the way, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I didn't have that with the Guyver, but that first half's pretty solid though. And I'll always have the manga. I'll always have the comic. And also the second live action film. The first one is okay. I've told you about before. That one I think you would enjoy purely for the makeup effects. The tone is just all sorts of fucky, but the second one is a legit solid like sci-fi martial arts spectacle film. And also features David Hayter, aka the voice of Solid Snake in the United States, in the leading role.
Oh wow!
So it's one of the few times you get to see him on screen, and you get to see him do things like run off a cliff and say Guyver.
Good for him. Good for him.
Good for David Hayter. He also wrote The Scorpion King and the first X-Men, if memory serves. So,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so in addition to being Solid Snake, he's also a screenwriter and Guyver.
He's a real Renaissance man, I guess. Wow.
Yeah, he has a beautiful head of hair, too.
Yeah.
Not something I think most voice actors can claim, but yes. Anyway, Brad, that's enough out of me and my Guyver bullshit. What you got next?
All right. Let's go with this one. Let's go with this series here. As of now, I have the complete series of this. There was only 2 seasons. And it is... I don't even know how to build up to this. I guess I'll just reveal it. It is The Knick, starring Clive Owen and directed by Mr. Steven Soderbergh. Mr. Stefan Soderbergh himself, who, listen, it's like, okay, you get these directors, they come in, they direct the pilot episode, they put their name on these things as a producer, and then they're gone. They take their money and run, and then there's no input from them on these shows after that point, and it's just like, what a ripoff. I got scammed. I'm trying to think of examples of this. I can't think of any examples. There's tons where a famous director comes in. I'm blanking. I'm honestly blanking, but They cut and run, basically. Well, let me tell you, Steven Soderbergh, he doesn't cut and run. He directed, unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think I am, he directed every episode of both seasons of The Knick. So these are essentially Steven Soderbergh, just like 10-hour films. You could almost look at it like that. Like, I really like this show, and I think not the only reason it's worthwhile, but the main reason to watch it is because Steven Soderbergh directed every single episode, and the direction in this show is amazing. Like, visually, it looks awesome for a series. There's tons of, like, striking moments. I think they do have one episode in the first season that I don't know if it was all looked like a single take, but there's, like, at least some, like, very long, like, oneers in a highlight episode. It feels like a Steven Soderbergh joint in the best way. And I gotta say, in the last decade, I think he's been killing it whenever he tackles a TV series. His movie output, I have not been as crazy about, and I don't know. Maybe it's when he's got like a showrunner and a room of writers to kind of steer the ship, and he just comes in and he just like puts his direction on stuff that he's not like necessarily like leading the story elements. He's just coming in and just like stylizing things. Maybe that's what works. But I really like The Knick, and his show he did for HBO, it was called Mosaic, and it was interesting because it's kind of a murder mystery, and you can watch it as a TV series, but they also released it as an interactive app, and it's basically like there's a bunch of main characters, and you can watch the series edited, I think it's mostly in chronological order, or you can go in this app and you can basically like, it's almost like a choose your own adventure where you can choose which characters to follow, and it was kind of interesting, and I remember actually kind of liking it, even though I don't think it got much of a response from people. But The Knick is really great, really solid cast. Clive Owen is in the lead role. It's about the Knickerbocker Hospital in like the early 1900s, like maybe post-World War I or somewhere around there. And it definitely, it's a hospital show, and it really like leans into the lack of medical science, like the lack of knowledge they had back then, like some of the surgery scenes of people just like digging into people and like cutting people open with just like dirty instruments. Like they really lean into that. There's some gross stuff in here, some tough to watch sequences, but I think it's a really good show. And I just was curious. I looked this up real quick just now, that I guess they did announce they are doing a third season of this. This show was canceled, and I guess they're doing a third season. I don't think Steven Soderbergh is directing, though. I think he's just a producer on it. So I'm not like as intrigued. I'm probably gonna watch it, to be honest, because I did like the show, and I wouldn't mind giving it another poke because I've only seen it the one time. But no, it's a real good series. Embarrassing that I still have the Best Buy sticker on there. That's embarrassing. But yeah, I do like it, and definitely it has a memorable ending. I will say I clearly remember the ending of this series, like the big climactic moment of the second season, like the finale. It ends on a pretty high note. So yeah, if you haven't, the Knick is worth checking out. I think it was a Cinemax show, so I think maybe that's why it didn't get like a ton of traction because it wasn't on like HBO or Netflix or Showtime. I couldn't even tell you another Cinemax show, to be totally honest. But yeah, the Knick is it's a good series.
Yeah, I think I recently heard about that for whatever reason, but I'm curious, Brad. Is that ending to the second season memorable and solid in such a way that like it leaves you a little concerned about continuing from that point on? Again, maybe without Steven Soderbergh at the helm.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything.
You don't have
but
to
let's
spoil it, but just like,
let's just
what's your
say
gut
that
telling you?
I can see them continuing the show, but let's just say that some characters will not be returning.
Okay,
Fair enough. At least I hope they won't be returning. I don't know how they could.
Oh, that'd be dirty pool, man. Like, just like, hang on,
Yeah.
they're back? What?
That was all a dream or something. Yeah, I don't. It definitely the second season, it ends on a pretty definitive, like, I felt like they could have done another season, but I was kind of like, yeah, that's a good spot to end it. Like, so I don't know. We'll see.
Stuff like that concerns me, man. Like like maybe it's a consequence of getting older and being just like endlessly bombarded with these gigantic franchises, which now, thanks to fucking multiverse stuff, like not only do we have to have franchises, we need those franchises to touch each other now. It drives me nuts. I value stories with ends. It's something that I think is a very, I don't know, maybe not quite a lost art, but something that I appreciate as I've gotten older. I like the idea of having a distinct beginning and end, knowing that there was a complete thought, and then we're done with it, because like more isn't always better. Sometimes it's better to just walk away on top. But I hope that the continuation measures up to the quality. Because you're absolutely right. Like Steven Soderbergh's output, especially on television, has, like, I've heard nothing but great things about his TV work, and in particular, like, referencing the episode that I just recorded for Catching Up on Cinema, One Shot, James Nunn's One Shot. I droned on and on and on about the notion of ambition being readily apparent or evident in the viewing of a film. That's something that I really appreciate, is watching a thing and having your logistical brain operating and like being curious about the efforts that the filmmakers had to go to actually present the product that you're now enjoying. And that's something that a good friend of mine, the same friend, in fact, who put on Breaking Bad and Batman '89 in The Office all those years ago, he was always very, very keen on Soderbergh. He was the guy that always championed him. He was like my one friend that was like a super fan of Soderbergh. And one thing he always tried to hammer into my head was like, one thing about this guy that, like, I don't care who you are, you have to appreciate, is that he always strives. Like he's always excited to try new things. And like you said about the stylization in the Knick, it's like maybe that's where he's at in his career, where it's like maybe you'll get the most out of him if you have a support system in place for him, and you can pull him in and make the best use of the tools he has, because he has the goods. And it's continually amazing some of the things that some of the, like, again, quote, gimmicks, not meant to be pejorative, but like some of the styles in which he approaches his films. Like, didn't he have like a cell phone film maybe shortly after the release of Tangerine? It looks like he's trying some new tricks with that new series. Is he behind is it Kimi, I think?
Yeah, I think that's a film, though. I think
that's a film? Okay.
Yeah.
It looked like again, very very highly stylized. It looks like there's some effort being put on display with that one. Point is, Soderbergh always fucking shows up. And even if he's not like a personal favorite of mine, I respect the hell out of him.
Yeah, I mean, his last film was No Sudden Move, and with that one, people made note of the lenses. He was using some very old school lenses, which caused some distortion on the sides of the screen. You know, just kind of like playing with that, and I think that works better in a TV format. I do want to say, I just looked it up, that apparently the third season, I don't know if this is going to be every episode, but at least according to what I've looked up here, at least the first episode of the third season is going to be directed by Barry Jenkins, who did Moonlight. And that's got me not as excited as Soderbergh, but I did really like Moonlight. I haven't seen a ton of his other stuff, but that's, if he does every single episode of the season, I could be in on that. I found an example. Martin Scorsese in Boardwalk Empire. I'm pretty sure he just came in and did the pilot, put his name on the series, and I never watched Boardwalk Empire, but I think he kind of walked away from it after that. So that's an example I found. But.
Okay, well, I don't think Kyle watches Tales from the Shelf, but he would have some words for you. Don't speak ill of Boardwalk Empire.
I'm sure it's a great show. I'm just saying that if Martin Scorsese actually directed every single episode, I bet you it would have been it would have been an even better show.
I mean, no doubt, but from what Kyle's told me, it's very good overall. I haven't watched it myself, but he has fairly aggressively poked me towards it a few times here and there. So maybe that's a someday for me.
Yeah, David Fincher, House of Cards. There's another one for you.
Yeah. I had forgotten that one. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
But is the Knick remaining on Cinemax then?
That I don't know.
Because
is Cinemax even a thing anymore?
Well, see, that's what's funny is you mentioned you couldn't think of any other Cinemax shows, and I know there's like a spy show or something. It's like Strike Back, I think is what it was called. I think that was a Cinemax show. And then the only other one that comes to mind is one that I started to watch but have yet to finish, and that was Warrior. Which began life on Cinemax and then I think may have been canceled and then was gobbled up by HBO. And I think it's awaiting like a fourth season or something. It's in limbo at the moment. Because
I think Cinemax and HBO are both Warner Brothers properties, so I think there is some crossover there.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I watched the Knick, the trailers, everything beforehand was showing HBO reels, and I was like, is this an HBO show? And it's like, no, it's a Cinemax show. So
okay, well, I may have to check out the Knick because as it so happens, my girlfriend does have a medical background and she's not squeamish about surgery scenes and stuff like that. She does like hospital television. The premise sounds very interesting to me. I generally like Clive Owen as well, and the Soderbergh factor is not to be denied. So that is something I should
sign up.
Yeah, I'll have to run that by her. I'll let her know there's a show called The Knick and it has some surgery and mustaches.
It's got Andre Howland in it. He kind of took off a little bit. I think he was in Moonlight. He took off a little bit. His stock has risen. Bono's daughter is in this. If you're a U2 fan, his daughter is in this in a lead role. I mean, just a stacked cast.
Okay. Well, anyway, I guess that was the Knick. So, what am I gonna pick to compliment the Knick? Shit. Okay, I think I have a good pick for that.
Grey's Anatomy.
I don't know how often the girlfriend listens to the show, but she's got a real problem with that show.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She watches a lot of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, she's got a problem, isn't she? She enjoys it too much.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. She's got a bad habit. She hates.
Same with my girlfriend.
She hate watches it though.
Okay.
We refer to it as Doritos, where it's just this is just this is not substantive in the least, but it gets you through to tomorrow. I don't know.
The little bit I've watched of it, it's trash, but there is something about it where it's kind of I'm glad I don't, but I'm I could see if I actually tried to watch this, I probably would get addicted to it and just want to like you said, hate watch it.
Yeah, I have seen a couple of episodes like a long time ago. I couldn't tell you what season it was from, but it has a format to it that I think is its biggest strength.
Yeah.
Is very similar to Stephen King stuff, Stephen King adaptations. It's very cozy. I was teasing the girlfriend about the format to a Grey's Anatomy episode. It's like I can actually just like I can just like leave the room and just like say now when the music cue will hit and we'll start the mopey montage. But then there'll be like an upbeat montage partway through. Then there'll be the bouncy fun music when somebody's befuddled. Then some people will irresponsibly fuck in the hospital at some point, and then we'll conclude with another mopey music cue. And it's just like it's like fucking clockwork. But again, if you're just wanting a warm blanket to curl up with, it's not the worst thing. It's just like having a slice of pie, like shitty pie, you know, like grocery store pie, not like grandma's pie, just shitty grocery store pie. 7-Eleven hot dog, something like that. Anyway, so the only thing I have here that could possibly complement your the Knick is something that I've been super up on, and I'm actually really, really, really excited to conclude. Because I have yet to finish watching this, but I'm in the midst of it. I'm like 3 episodes away, and this was finally the series that I started watching with a girlfriend because we've been looking for a show. Because we realized we've been together a really long time, but we don't have a show. We don't watch long form things together. It's like that seems to be like a constant thing with other long term relationships. It's like you got to have some shit that you just put on and binge it from time to time. But anyway, I have here. Gangs of London on Blu-ray.
Bam!
Hey, my boy! You knew it was coming.
I knew, yeah. As soon as you said, because I think you mentioned that in your last episode, I was like,
yeah.
I got to pull this off the shelf. I know this one's coming.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it shows how often I bring up shows on the show. Is like I very seldom watch series. It's just not something I do very often. But yeah, Gangs of London, and I think it's telling that it says season 1 here on the slipcase.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was only just confirmed that there's going to be a second season, so that was bold on their part. But yeah, the reason I picked this one is because Gareth Edwards is associated with this, so that would be the director of the Raid films, and I don't know how many episodes of this he directed. He most certainly did the first episode, but beyond like full episodes, I believe he also directed a lot of the action sequences, of which there are many absolutely brilliantly constructed action beats throughout this meager 10 episodes of television, something which some people would scoff at. For me personally, I was like, oh, thank you, sir. Like thank you for making it only 10 episodes. It's like, for me, that's very appealing, like to know that I only have to commit 10 hours of my life to this thing. But yeah, this had been sitting on my shelf for at least a year, maybe even longer. I was super hyped for it when I first heard it announced. I didn't have access to it right away because I think it was on. It says it's on AMC, but I think it was like British AMC or something.
I think it was just AMC in the U.S. I think they had this rights in the U.S. basically.
Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't have access to AMC when it came out, so I was like frothing at the mouth waiting for this Blu-ray to come out because I'm very up on this director. I think he's massively talented and again ambitious as well, and it shows. So when I heard he was doing a series with a lot of talented people that I really like, Joe Cole in particular, I'm really up on this guy. I haven't seen him in that much, but every time I've seen him, he's been very varied in his approach. Like he's never just done the same thing twice in a row, and he has a quality to him. I think he's going to go on to really big things. But yeah, I think I've watched 7 episodes of this, and holy fucking shit. Their openings and their endings. Like, say what you will about the middle portion of the show. Like, I'm sure there are people out there on the internet, on the Reddit and whatnot. They're like, oh, it was boring. I didn't really get into it in the middle part. It's like, fuck you, man. The way that shit opened and ended, like, I know that's cheating when it comes to television format. In fact, that's a lot of times one of my biggest complaints about series format things is like, in order to convince people of the quality of your product, sometimes that's all you have to do. is just have a solid opening and ending to every episode. But fucking hey, man, like shit. Some of the shit they do in the show, it's just like masterclass kind of stuff in terms of like tension building and just intense, brutal filmmaking, and just the choreography of some of the action beats is truly creative, incredible stuff that has me just like super excited for his next project, which is called Havoc. I'm not sure if it's positioned to be coming out 2022 or 2023, but it's like neck and neck with John Wick 4 Hagakure in my book as far as most anticipated on the horizon. Havoc with starring Tom Hardy from the director of the Raid films, and seeing what this director can do with a Western or quote Western British stunt team as opposed to an Indonesian one. I'm super hyped. But yeah, I've been very, very impressed with this show. I'm very excited to conclude it. In fact, I just got back from vacation with a girlfriend, and we both were really bummed that we had to put our viewing experience on hold to go off and have a good vacation. It's like, oh man, I have to go have fun with the family. It's like, I want to know what happens in Gangs of London next.
These vacations, these holidays, they get in the way of what I really want to do, and that's just consume content.
gotta get on that backlog boogie. It's like I don't have time for you, family. It's like I got some watching to get in. But have you cracked yours open yet, Brad?
Yeah, I did. I actually, well, first of all, I guess I can thank you for this purchase. You did not purchase it for me, no, but you.
Sorry,
we were doing a monthly Blu-ray episode, and this came out on Blu-ray, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by that, and I can't remember if I knew that it was directed by is it Garrett or Gareth?
See, I always fuck this up because there's two of these Gare guys.
Yeah.
And, one of whom is Welsh. I think that's this one. So it's the guy who did 2014 Godzilla and the guy who did the Raid films. It's like Gareth Edwards and like Garrett something or other.
Garrett Evans.
Garrett
think, right?
Evans. I get the
That's
two of them.
Way too similar.
I know. I get them confused all the time, and it pisses me off. Does he even say on the back here? Like what? Why would you not put his name on here?
Yeah,
that is some bullshit. I'm gonna have to look this shit up because
but,
I mix that up all the time.
I don't know if I knew that it was directed by him or not, but when we brought it up in the Blu-ray episode, I was like, oh, let me check it out. And my parents still have cable, so I was able to log into AMC.
Oh, cool.
And it was still on there. And I started watching it, and it just my luck that, like, within, I don't know, I think I made it through the first 4 episodes, and then it was removed from AMC. Like, then you had to pay for their premium AMC. You couldn't just use your cable login. So I was like, well, shit. And I was like, I do like this show, and I think it was episode 5 or whatever episode it was, the farmhouse one. You've seen the farmhouse.
I have.
And I kind of like, I was like, I've heard that's a big one, and I was like, man, I do really want to see that. It's like, if I had seen that episode, maybe I would have been like, all right, I don't need to buy it on Blu-ray, but it's like, fuck, that's the one everyone is like, that's the one. So I'm like, yeah, shit. Even though I've already watched half of it, so I'm basically paying for half the episodes, I ended up buying it. And yeah, I do like it a lot. I kind of think, unfortunately, the second half of the season is weaker than the first, so I ended up paying for the lesser half of the season. But yeah, I mean, I think the action is awesome, really, intense and well choreographed and violent, and the story it's not the greatest, but the performances are pretty solid, and yeah, like you said, pretty much all the episodes start and end on strong notes, and that's enough to keep me going through it. And I did watch the whole thing, and yeah, it's solid.
I think it's to its benefit that it's only 10 episodes because they play with the format from episode to episode such that you can tell there's like a thesis statement behind each and every episode where it's like, we're going to try to do this, or we're going to change up the style for this, or we're going to change the POV for this one. And because it's only 10 episodes, it doesn't come across as like flimsy. It comes across as very cohesive in its intricacy and its diverse like qualities. But I'm really excited to finish it. Actually, it's funny. I can't remember the name of your buddy, one of your co-hosts, who had coined the phrase in my mind anyway of action blindness.
Yeah, that's Charlie. Yeah,
Charlie. Okay, so Charlie, if you're listening and or watching, hopefully watching, because your buddy Brad is showing off his wares. This is his showcase time for the stuff.
Sup?
Yeah, sup, Charlie? Hit the big time on YouTube. 5 views, including you. Action blindness. Actually, while I was watching an episode of Gangs of London, it got me thinking, like, maybe it'd be fun to stage an intervention for him and just like exhibit some action scenes and walk him through what makes this a quality action sequence, like as opposed to just like your ordinary punch up sequence or whatever. Because in particular, I'm thinking of there's the fight in the apartment complex involving a fire axe for a good portion of it.
that was good. Yeah.
It's exceedingly well executed, and a lot of it comes down to like the Jackie Chan school of action choreography, where it's like you survey your surroundings and make use of every element in the room. And moreover, if there's going to be a deadly instrument in the room, maybe remind your viewer, utilizing fucking filmmaking, of the dangers of that object. Like, continually frame that object in such a way that, oh, you don't want that to be near that guy. Like, that's bad. Sometimes, in the world of filmmaking, people fucking forget that, fire axes is dangerous. Like, sharp knives are dangerous. Just stay away from those. But, like, sometimes, like, they just don't get it right. But in terms of the action choreography for a lot of the scenes in Gangs of London, there's also, I think, another axe fight earlier in the series that very similarly treats it like a truly deadly object that you, by all means, you must keep away from you. And a lot of it comes down more to just like sheer filmmaking ability than like athleticism on the part of the performers. So yeah, I just thought that was funny, the timing of that, because that was around the time I was watching those episodes, and I retained that little mind worm of action blindness.
Yeah, we need to stage an intervention on him at some point.
Yeah, like I said, if you need help getting your buddy on track, like breaking that action blindness, I'd be happy to help you with that. We're looking out for you, Charlie.
Yep.
Okay, well, by the way, Gareth Evans. So I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. I'm pretty sure I said Gareth Edwards. It's Gareth Evans, and I'm pretty sure the Godzilla guy is Garrett Edwards. I hate that I like both of them.
Yeah.
And they just, I always fuck it up. Always. So
yeah.
Apologies. I really do admire both of you, if you're fucking listening. Anyway, that's enough out of Gangs of London, which again I hope to finish watching soon. What would your next pick be, Brad?
Oh, let's go with this one. This is okay. So this one, you host a podcast, I host a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast. Listen, I don't want to go off on, plugging other people's podcasts on this, but I have to preface this by saying that this series is directed by a co-host of a podcast that I listen to, which, I've been listening to the podcast for years. The guy is a filmmaker, and he's done a bunch of small films. He's a documentarian. He does documentaries. And this series came out, and it was kind of his... It's not, like, big time, but it was cool to see somebody from a show that I've actively listened to for so long. And it's not, like, a hugely popular show. It was cool to see him finally, kind of break into the mainstream in some regard. The podcast is the Film Junk Podcast, and the guy who directed it is Jay Cheel, and the film is, the series, is Cursed Films, the Shudder series, which is a documentary series. I believe it is 5 episodes, and it is exploring the idea of cursed films, as the title would suggest. So it goes into Poltergeist, The Omen, The Exorcist, The Crow, and Twilight Zone the movie. All movies where bad things have happened, and people have circulated the idea of, is there a curse involved because so much bad stuff has happened surrounding these films. And first of all, I love Jay Cheel's aesthetic, his direction aesthetic. I think me and him, like, just the idea of, like, whenever he reviews a movie, a lot of time our opinions are in line, so I can tell me and him have somewhat similar tastes. And you could think, like, this could be a series kind of in bad taste. Like, here's people that have died, and is it, like, tabloidy to say, oh, is there a poltergeist curse because the young girl tragically died and the other daughter was murdered and da-da-da-da-da. And they are well aware of that. And I think, like, not to spoil, like, the thesis statement for this 5-episode season, but you get to the end of this, like, if you watch all 5 episodes, it's clear that the filmmakers are saying that these curses, there's no curses. This is just tragic shit happens, and we live in a world where it's hard for us to just, like, accept the fact that, yeah, sometimes tragic shit does happen. And so we, like, try and, like, put these curses on films because it actually makes us feel better to think, like, oh, this actress wasn't just randomly murdered. It's got to be some curse. There's got to be something else to it. And it's like, no, she was just randomly murdered, and nope, she just got sick and died. It's like, shit happens. And I think, where it goes is actually pretty, it goes into an emotional place, especially, like, with the Twilight Zone, the movie segment, which, of course, is, like, just horrendous how that happens. And I forget who it is, if it's, like, a second unit director. They direct, or they interview somebody involved with the film. Maybe it was the DP, or obviously John Landis doesn't make any comments on camera in this, but they do interview some people who are, they get some pretty good interviews. Like, they have the director of Poltergeist 3, who obviously worked with I forget the young actress's name, but that was
Carol Ann was the character, though.
Yeah, her last project before she passed. And I think it was on the podcast. He was very upfront about how they contacted this guy, and he was like, oh, we want to interview you for a movie we're making called Cursed Films. And the director was, like, pissed. Like, he was like, that's fucked up, like, fuck you. But and he had to, like, convince him, like, no, this is what we're doing. And he, so it's interesting how it goes in that angle. And I think from what I've heard, some people were, like, a little upset about that. Like, why is it going off into these tangents and blah 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 blah. But I think it's a great series. They are doing a second season. I don't totally know how they're going to follow it up or what films they're going to tackle, but it's been interesting hearing him on the podcast talk about traveling internationally, and I've been trying to figure out, based on where he's, like, going to interview people, and I have no idea what the films are going to be. But it's really good series. Honestly, probably my favorite thing, like, favorite Shudder original series. Not that there's been a ton of those, but definitely worth watching, especially if you're a movie fan. It's really well done.
Yeah, I remember when that was announced. Jay Cheel, you said, was the director?
Yep.
I actually am not familiar with the podcast or the man himself, but I may have to change that because that's really neat. I know what that feels like to have, like, a personality like floating around out there, like, across the internet that you kind of latch onto, and it's really fun to watch them grow and change and actually kind of hit the mainstream. Like, that's it's like watching like a up and coming, like, athlete or something, where it's like, I've been watching this kid since he was nobody, and it's like you and your first edition barrel, where it's like, exactly, I don't have none of that second printing horse shit. I got my first edition barrel. I'm a true fan. So you're a true fan of Jay Cheel. So that's really cool that you got to experience that, and that's even cooler that they got a second season. I'd be curious to know what films they're covering, though, because what's interesting about that is that the stuff that you said, like, maybe some people would be critical of, like the quote tangents in those episodes, personally would be why I would watch that, because I do know the background of all of those films with the exception of The Omen. Like, I know a lot of the grim details, like, about like the I don't know, the quote curse surrounding a lot of those productions. I know most of it. Like, I've done independent research. I've read articles and whatnot over the years. Not anything I did deep dives on, but just things you hear about, things you learn about over the course of watching a lot of movies and stuff. But those interviews and those, again, quote, tangents would be the things that actually make the product worthwhile to me, because I already know about all the deaths and all that stuff. It'd be those interviews that would really be fascinating for me to see. But I remember when I heard about that, and actually that was I have yet to have a Shudder subscription, but when that was announced, that was one of the projects that I was like, I'm legitimately very interested in this. So I'm very curious what that second season will look like.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna they're not just gonna go and throw the idea of the first season out the window and just be like, all right, well, here's 5 more movies that are supposedly cursed, even though we basically said curses aren't real. So it'll be interesting to see how they come at it from a different direction. But yeah, I'm excited to see how they do that. And yeah, they got some solid interviews. They interview Linda Blair. I think it's Richard Donner who did The Omen, I want to say, directed that.
Friedkin was Exorcist, but
he was the Exorcist.
But yeah,
I don't think
I think it was
him.
Donner. I think it was Donner who did.
Yeah, they interview Richard Donner.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get some pretty for a Shudder documentary series. They get some pretty solid interviews. I think they interview Kane Hodder at some point.
Yes, fucking yes.
Which
Why
I mean,
not?
he's probably he'll probably interview for anything. I don't think it's probably not that hard.
What's cool about Kane Hodder is he's a great interview. He has a great energy to him, and like you said, that's part of what makes him fun is that I think he's open to talking to anybody about pretty much anything. I mean, for fuck's sake, man! His story about being set on fire and continuing to do fire gags throughout the remainder of his life. It's man, I don't think he has anything to be afraid of going forward. It's I don't care what I say to anybody anymore. It's I've been on fire, motherfucker.
Yeah. So yeah, the series is definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, no. If and when I presume when I get a Shudder subscription for however long that lasts, that would be probably one of the first things I check out, because that did catch my eye early on, and it does sound like a very interesting concept, especially if it's done tastefully. I'm curious though, do you have any tidbits about the Omen? Because that's the one among those 5 that I don't actually know any bad details about.
Yeah, there were some deaths associated with it. I think somebody involved in the film, I can't remember who, but there was they got in a car accident during production and died. There was something where I forget who was on the plane, but something with a actor or something, or maybe it was the director on a plane, and the plane getting struck by lightning and nearly crashing. So there was a handful of stuff with the Omen thing. Yeah, I think the Poltergeist one that maybe is in terms of curses, it might be the most famous in terms of the curse. I think that one might be the best single episode, because it kind of puts the whole series, the idea of it all in one episode. The idea of throwing out these are the things that people say are why it's cursed, and they specifically have that director of Poltergeist 3 who gets very emotional and just basically says there is no curse, and it's just tragic that this one young girl died. So yeah, it's a little emotional. It's of course some sad shit happened.
Yeah, I think it's very valuable that they got that interview too, because I remember seeing a television special about the same concept dedicated to the Poltergeist series. So it's well trodden ground at this point, even in a series format.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're able to get some new content to spice it up a little and present something new. And also just having somebody who is actually there for it available to interview would add some depth, some additional layers to the content. But yeah, I very well may check that out whenever I end up finding just the right excuse to pick up a Shudder subscription. Time will tell what that excuse will end up being, But I'm waiting for it. I'm keeping my feelers out there for like that big title that drops on Shudder. That's like, well, I guess I'm getting Shudder.
Yeah, it'll be there for you when you're ready. It'll be there.
I mean, I hope so. I don't know what the health of the Shudder service is these days, but like what their fan base or subscriber base is like these days. But hope they're doing well, because seems like they provide a really important service, because there's a lot of horror heads out there, and you know, they need their own streaming service.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Brad, you want this to be my last one, or are you good for one more round?
Yeah, we could probably cap it off with this last one. Yeah.
Sounds good, bud. So, what's it gonna be? You know what? I'm gonna just take it easy. I've run out of steam when it comes to like ranting and raving about prestige titles, so we're just gonna ease into the hot tub and take it easy for this last round here. So I have here, as is customary, Trevor's gonna cheat because that's what he does. I have here a stack of first season discs and then just one second season disc. And the reason why I say it in that tone is because this shit pisses me off, Brad. You know this feeling. You know this feeling quite well, where distributors just kind of fuck you, like, real bad. So for, like, physical media collectors like Brad and I, you know, the hope is that, you know, if something exists on a streaming service, one would hope eventually it would exist in a physical format in its entirety, right? Well, you know, sometimes they don't make it to the finish line. Sometimes they give you just a little taste, to get you hooked, and then they fuck you in the eye socket with an ice pick. So I have here all of the official. That's important to note. Official. So these are not bootlegs. These are available in bootleg format, like on eBay and stuff. I'm not sure of the quality of those. I've never purchased any of them. I've considered it at one time or another, but these are all official discs. So these are all official Blu-rays of the Marvel Netflix shows.
Oh, yes.
And these are the only ones that exist in the official format. So we have Daredevil 1 and 2, we have Jessica Jones, we have Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Only Daredevil has a season 2 box set, and it's a small box set. It's not a box, it's a fucking case. It's the only one to have a second season, and guess what? Every one of these has a second and maybe even a third season on Netflix, which I don't have. Which means for a very long time, this was all I fucking got. And you know what doubly fucking sucks? Daredevil's really, really good. And you know what? The third season's really fucking good. And you know what I haven't seen more than once? The third season, because I don't have Netflix. So, these are the beginnings of a collection that, you know, one would hope it has the Marvel brand on it. You would expect, you know, merchandising. Why not? Yeah. Spaceballs the flamethrower. Daredevil the flamethrower. The kids love it. No, this is it. This is all we got, and I presume all we're gonna get. And in fact, the worst one of them, Iron Fist, is like, what, German or British or some shit? I think it's British. This is an import. You see this? We don't have this in America. These colorful 18s, that ain't American. So I went out of my way to buy that horse shit.
I'm surprised for that one you went out of your way to import. Like, is this like, were you like intentionally... Because I think you said Iron Fist is like the least of the Marvel shows, right? Is that the consensus for you as well?
I'm inclined to agree with that, yes.
Yeah. Like, was this a statement where you were like, you guys aren't going to release them on fucking physical media? Well, I'm going to buy every single fucking one you do release just to prove, like was that a statement?
Well, this was single, Trevor. This was not relationship, Trevor. This was not relationship George, not relationship Jerry. This was single Trevor. This was sweatpants Trevor.
Yeah.
So sweatpants Trevor did not have access to Netflix in the slightest, like not even a little bit. relationship, Trevor, occasionally can like sneak in like little episodes here and there from Netflix utilizing the relationship account. But Sweatpants, Trevor, if you wanted to keep tabs on the Marvel shows on Netflix, he had to wait for these boxes and whatnot. So for the most part, I was watching these shows just via these discs, not via the streaming service. And then I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and they just kind of gave up. I think these fell prey to the Disney Plus looming over the horizon, because these started to be released several years in advance of Disney Plus, but at some point, Netflix and Disney parted ways. Disney Plus was probably brewing behind the curtain, at which point I'm guessing like Netflix and ABC Studios was probably some form of legal action was threatened, where it's like you got to cut this shit off because we're about to have a streaming service where we're going to have control of all of this stuff. In fact, actually, I haven't checked, Brad. Do you know if these shows have migrated yet?
I don't think so. I think they're still on Netflix.
I don't know what the deal is, but as far as I understand, they're still on Netflix. But yeah, in terms of like physical format, as far as I know, that this was the extent of it. Kind of like the hope, and it's not going to happen. Like the hope is that we get like a Vestron situation where like there's this lull, and then it's like it's back. It's like maybe. I seriously fucking doubt it. But what bums me out is that at the very least I would like to own all of Daredevil, because I have watched it through multiple times except for that third season, and like for a couple of years now I've really been having a hankering to revisit it because I really did enjoy it. I just only had one crack at it. And to be honest, I haven't finished Jessica Jones. I think I eventually got around to watching the second season via the girlfriend's Netflix account. Iron Fist, I remember hearing that they didn't even make a complete second season. It was that bad that they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to break our Netflix rule, and instead of giving you 13 episodes or whatever like we normally do, i.e. like 5 episodes more than you need, instead we're just going to say, fuck it. You don't get any more money. Give us 8 episodes or whatever, and you're done. You're like, Danny Rand, go home. Like, just get out of here. Just pack up your jumpsuit and get the fuck out of here. Nobody likes you. But yeah, this really bummed me out. That I spent quite a bit of time like waiting, hoping that I'd be able to finish this project, this collection. But no, I guess that's the extent of it. And there's quite a bit that was never printed on disc. It's kind of a bummer. And by the way, The Punisher doesn't exist at all. Like, not even the first season. And, oh yeah, there's also The Defenders, which is supposed to be, like, the Avengers equivalent of all these shows that I just showed off. Only one season, again, less than 13 episodes. Doesn't exist in disc format as far as I understand. So, like, imagine that. Imagine that with, like, the other, like, Marvel films. Imagine we have, like, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, and then the Avengers. Imagine not printing a disc of the Avengers after all of that built up. Like, that's such a big fuck you to anybody who might care. And it's not even like these are great. Like, I'm not defending the quality of it. It's just the principle of the matter. If you start a fucking thing, fucking finish it, Because some people care.
Yeah, I mean, I could see potentially, like, I don't know who would control the home video rights now for the, like, I don't know if it's, like, with Netflix and Disney, I don't know who's like actually got rights for that, but I could see, potentially, especially Daredevil, Disney. I mean, Daredevil's hot right now. I don't want to say anything more than that, but Daredevil's hot right now. So I could see maybe them, potentially bringing that person back for some thing, and maybe they say, hey, let's put out all 3 seasons. If they get the home video rights to it, I could see them now, Luke Cage season 2, Iron Fist season. I don't think I don't see that happening. But no. Daredevil, I could see somehow that I would say all hope is not lost on that one.
Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, like that's the only one that I quote need. Like that's the only one that legitimately like hurts me to not have access to on Blu-ray is Daredevil. Like the other ones, it's like it's more just like that completionist itch that we all get from time to time. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, it's like I'm not losing sleep over not having Iron Fist season 2. Like, like fuck that. But yeah, Daredevil season 3 at the very least would be really nice, and although maybe the Punisher.
I don't know. Unfortunately, although I do have to say, I don't think any of Disney Plus's Marvel series have been released on physical media.
No, as of yet, they have not.
Yeah, even Mandalorian, I don't even think is on Blu-ray. I don't think.
I think you're right. I haven't been keeping tabs, but I think you're right.
Yikes!
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter on like ABC or whatever. I know those have had releases in the past.
Yeah,
those were television series, not streaming service. But yeah, I think Disney Plus is like pretty locked down for the time being. And with their movie club thing, with their older live action films, and like kind of the not so great presentation of their discs as of late, Disney really does kind of seem to be leading the charge in terms of like phasing out physical media. It's kind of scary because they wield the biggest fucking stick. So that's danger for folks like Brad and I who give a shit about fucking Iron Fist season 2.
That's why you got to buy now and don't regret it, because you could own just think the world could end and you could own the last copy of a movie. It's possible.
Yeah, it could be possible.
We're doomsday prepping right now.
Not like our grandfathers, not collecting Spam and baked beans and stuff. No, we're hoarding movies.
Yeah, we're preserving art.
We're preserving art and holding out hope that the apocalypse will allow us to keep our laser fucking optical players and our LCD screens intact.
We'll figure something out.
There will be power sources, readily available power sources, and lasers as far as the eye can see in the post-apocalypse. We're holding out hope, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about all I got in terms of like picks this time around. Not a whole lot of picks, but a lot of chit chat. So a lot of good conversation, Brad. So this is good. We always do good work on Tales from the Shelf. But as is customary, folks at home, we will wrap things up with what we like to call a speed round. Essentially, what this entails is just Brad and I kind of gathering up our runner-ups. And just kind of like zipping through them. We're not going to talk at length, but we're just going to trade turns exhibiting some of the runner-ups that we may have set aside for this discussion. So, Brad, would you like to go first, or do you need some time to collect your thoughts?
Yeah, I got them all here. I can kick it off quick.
Okay, go for it.
And this isn't all my TV. I still got some over there, but these were just the ones I pulled off the shelf. We've got The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. Great miniseries. I'm not like the biggest Ryan Murphy fan, but he did not write this series. He was only like a director and a producer, and I think the cast nailed it. Really a great season to that show. I mentioned it in another episode we did of this, but I've got all 3 seasons of The Leftovers, which is one of my favorite shows. I'm a huge Damon Lindelof fan, and The Leftovers highly recommend. We've got very topical in the last week, the Jinx, the life and deaths of Robert Durst. R.I.P. to Robert Durst, or should I say R.I. not in peace, because he was a murderer. And this is a fascinating true crime documentary series about his life and his murders, and the fact that he was willing to sit down and get interviewed on camera about that is pretty astonishing. And if you don't know how this ends, do you know how this ends? Like the final, like the big gotcha moment at the end?
I think I might.
It's amazing.
I may be mixing up my memories of people talking about the ending of that, but I think I know what you're talking about.
It's got to be one of the best like endings of a documentary series like ever. Like it's so like, what are the like? How could that happen? It's crazy. We've got all 3 seasons of Hannibal, which I am a pretty big fan. Like, I love Hannibal Lecter, just like the franchise and the character, and I like the show quite a bit. I think it gets better as it goes. The first season is maybe a little too procedural, but I kind of like that it starts that way and eventually grows out of it. And then last thing is I have... Sounds like I got some loose discs in this one. I think it's just I think it's just the cheap packaging. I've got Twin Peaks, the complete collection, and that is all the seasons of the show. And I've also got just Twin Peaks: The Return, which I bought before this. So I had this one, and then I bought this one after the fact. So I have 2 copies of Twin Peaks: The Return, essentially. But yeah, at Twin Peaks, I mean, anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Lynch head, so no surprise I've got that.
Yeah, I was about to say, for someone like Brad, not unexpected. Like that's kind of, that's par for the course. But damn, that is high on my to-do list. Is that Twin Peaks: The Return? Because I think it was you on the Cinema Speak podcast. I think you referred to it as like the best movie. Like on a technical level, it's like if you think of it as a movie, it's the best movie you saw that year, basically.
Yeah, it would have been my number 1 movie of that year.
Yeah. If you could like edit them all together into just like one long piece, then yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I really did enjoy Twin Peaks. I did take it upon myself to watch those first 2 seasons several years back. And even the second season that some people, sometimes it's critically derided from time to time. I found enough good in there that I didn't walk away from it unhappy. Especially, it helps that David Lynch did come back for, the conclusion of it to like right the ship, essentially. But
yeah,
Twin Peaks: The Return is very high on my to-do list. And that O.J. Simpson cover is stunning.
It's a good cover. Yeah.
The packaging on that is it's money.
Yep.
So some good picks there, Brad. Very awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what do I got here? So I will spare you the Mountain of Ultramen because, good fucking God, I have far more Ultraman in my collection than any grown man ought to. I'm not going to display that on camera. Maybe if there's demand. There won't be demand. I'll show it at a different time. But no, I'll just show off my wares, with the exception of the Mountain of Ultraman, which is roughly the size of a small child. But anyway, we got here the first season of Exo Squad, which was a Fox Kids animated television show from the 90s that my brother and I both were really, really into. I stumbled across this disc at a used bookstore, and I purchased it for my brother. He ended up watching it and having a fun bit of nostalgia coming back to it, and they promptly gave it back to me because he's not big on having things in his home. He doesn't have a movie collection the way I do, but this show was great. Unfortunately, this says season 1 on the cover, and as far as I understand, no subsequent discs were published. So much like my Marvel Netflix shows, I don't think this ever has existed in its entirety on DVD or Blu-ray. Maybe in VHS. I didn't look into that, but certainly not on DVD. I have here just the first season of Batman Beyond, because personally, that's all I liked. I was really, really excited when Batman Beyond first came out in the late 90s. And then after that first season, I was like, you know what? I think it's slipping, and I'm going to bail. In addition to that, I also have the movie Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. This is the uncut version that has like just a few minor bits of additional violence that the cut version has. But Batman Beyond, that first season, really good. They do some really creative stuff. It has a lot of energy. There's a lot of ambition on display with the animation and the characterization and the music. But yeah, I think they just kind of got fatigued and just ran out of gas, basically.
Yeah.
And similar to that, I have another Warner Brothers animation project, Superman, the complete animated series. I think this is 7 discs, and this costs like $8 or some shit.
Really?
It's super fucking cheap, and the quality of the DVDs are just fine. I think it just goes to show how much people care about fucking Superman, i.e. that not a whole lot. I really enjoyed this show. I think it complemented the Batman animated series from a few years earlier very, very well. It felt consistent, like it felt like it was from the same people. It was Bruce Timm and all of his people at Warner Brothers Animation, but it was brighter. It was more optimistic and more action oriented than the Batman show, which was much more noirish and moody and not super up on like delivering like lots of punches from episode to episode. Superman, like if all you wanted was a good punch up, Superman's got you covered. I also have here something that I went out of my way to pick up because I was hoping it was going to maybe aid in bringing the show to the States, like to wider acclaim or something. It didn't work out. But this is Retro Game Master, which is a Japanese television show called Game Center CX. And this fella here is the chairman. His name is Shinya Arino. And he is so goddamn charming. He has a wonderful sense of humor. And the format of the show is absolutely delightful. This American printing of this DVD is unfortunately a truncated version of the show. But the format, Brad, is they lock him in a back office with a video game console and task him with beating a video game, like usually an antiquated video game, in a single sitting, essentially. And he gets fatigued. It takes hours, it takes 48 hours sometimes. But in between that, it's a variety show. So they cut away from him playing the game and sucking at it and getting better at it over the course of 2 days or something, to travel log footage. So people in Japan will write into the show and ask him to come visit their local neighborhood arcade or something. And so he'll go with a camera crew to some esoteric neighborhood in all parts of Japan, and all the kids will come out of the woodwork and just be like, "Whoa, I know you from TV," and he'll sit down and play arcade games with them and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they sample the local cuisine and stuff, and so it doubles as a travel log, a sampling of some obscure neighborhoods in Japan and whatnot. And then, of course, there's high drama. They edit it like it's a reality show, like him trying to beat a fucking Nintendo game, essentially. It's really fun. This disc, this box set was, this was an attempt to bring the show to Western audiences. It didn't get past that one box set, but is what it is. You can find the original Japanese version of the show subtitled on, not YouTube usually, but elsewhere. I have here Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. This is a recent Netflix show of Resident Evil that is okay. It's not great. That's all I gotta say about that. I have a box set of Outlaw Star, which was a anime series that debuted in the West on Toonami, so that would be a Cartoon Network. This is the whole series. I actually haven't watched this yet. It's been sitting on my shelf for years. But I really liked the show when it originally aired on television. I have a super duper limited edition Blu-ray box set of Megalobox, which is a handsome fucking package. The cover art
I like that.
is
Wow.
stunning. The disc is black. The plastic is black. It's black. No, it's blue. Never mind. I lied. But it also includes an art book, and this is the cover art to the art book. Featuring biographies of all the characters and lots of concept art and whatnot. Unfortunately, the show is not that great. They did not have as much money as I think they thought they did, because the animation budget was just not there, which sucks because I love fucking boxing and I love fucking anime, and didn't quite pan out. And it's also a remake of Ashita no Joe, which is an anime series from the late 60s, which is beloved internationally. It has a huge cultural footprint, and for them to not quite stick the landing given the legacy of the franchise, not cool, bud. Not cool. Speaking of good anime, Cowboy Bebop complete series, very, very, very good. I finally watched that 6 months ago or something. Didn't touch the live action show. Heard way too much shit about it. Way too much shit that made me personally unhappy, where I was like, I don't even have to be emotionally attached to this series to know when something's bad. And just looking at clips and hearing whispers about some of the things some of the choices made with that production, I was like, no, that just looks like ass, like just straight up ass. I have Blood of the Samurai, the series. Apparently there's a movie. I haven't seen it. I don't own it. But this was a random pickup in a Hawaiian grocery store because I have lots of family out in Hawaii, and God damn it, I wanted to know what the kids are watching in Hawaii, and this aired on like the equivalent of like basic cable in Hawaiian television. So I picked this up and I was like, this fucking sucks, but it's really cool seeing my people like on television, wielding katanas and whatnot. And very similarly, I think I've shown this off before, probably on the box sets episode, Kamen Rider V3, the complete series. This is a handsome fucking DVD box set. This is actually printed by a company called Generation Kikaida, which is based in Hawaii. And I also picked this up from a Hawaiian grocery store. And this one not so excited about. This was pure novelty. I was like, that looks like ass, but my kind of ass. This, however, I was like, I'm super hyped. I know what that is. I didn't know it existed on DVD, let alone existed on Hawaiian Islands. But yeah, this is fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the extras are incredible. And the last thing I'll say, Archer Season 1 and Season 2. And the only reason I bring these up is that Kyle, totally independent of me, I had no say in the matter. Kyle, my usual co-host on Catching Up on Cinema, made it his annual mission to present me with additional seasons of Archer, so that I can keep up with his memes. So he has been buying me Blu-rays of Archer, so I can get up to speed with him and his sense of humor.
Yeah.
So we're up to Season 2, and I am anticipating Season 3 to be arriving on my doorstep probably in the next couple of weeks, because I think it's like a Christmas gift thing from him. But yeah, I never asked for this shit. I have watched both of these though.
Mm-hmm. Like there you go. That's a good friend then.
Yeah, if somebody tasks themselves with giving me unlimited seasons of Archer, the least I can do is watch them.
You'll watch it.
I have watched these. So when Season 3 shows up, I will watch that too. And you know what? I kind of like it. Archer's pretty fun. It's not a bad show. I really enjoy it. But anyway, I guess that concludes our speed round for this episode. So yeah, good one as always, Brad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for helping along with this project. It's always fun to talk about our Blu-ray collections and whatnot. Always fun to share some war stories. But before we go, you want to let the folks at home know where they can find you and your very awesome podcast?
Yeah, it's the Cinema Speak podcast. So we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find shows. Just search for Cinema Speak. We are on Twitter at the Cinema Speak, on Instagram as Cinema Speak Podcast, and on YouTube as Cinema Speak. And also, you can just find us on the web at cinemaspeak.libsyn.com.
Okay, very well said. And I have yet to check out your latest YouTube video. It debuted while I was out of town, but I'm very excited to sit down and watch that. Always looking forward to those.
Thank you. Not one you need to show the family while you're visiting or whatever. So I appreciate that.
Okay, duly noted. But again, thank you so much for joining me, Brad. But in the meantime, folks at home, if you would like to catch up on any of our Catching Up on Cinema content, you can find all of that collected on our website at catchinguponcinema.com. You can also find us on the social medias at Twitter at Catching Cinema, as well as the Instagram at Catching Up on Cinema. So feel free to hit me up at either of those. And the podcast is available on pretty much every podcasting service you can imagine, including Cephalopod. So fucking Google it. And that being said, thank you so much for listening and or watching, and we will catch you next time.